Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. I am your host, Victoria Hamilton. And on this episode, we are just going to dive into the RISE method, okay? So, the RISE method is the method that I use that helped me quit my 12-hour night shift job and start to embody the woman that I am destined to become, my higher self, okay? So, the RISE method is an acronym. The R stands for rewire. The I stands for integrate. The S is systemize. And the E is embody. So we're going to break down this method so that way that this can help you. Now, if you would like my ebook, the ebook dives right into how to implement the RISE method so that way that you can come into an alignment with your higher self. It is called Rise into Leadership. It will be linked in the comment box so that way that you can download it and start rewiring your mindset. Okay. So within the RISE method, let's get into the R. So the R, I really had to rewire my mind. Okay. Not only did I come into this lifetime with past life traumas that I had, but I brought it into this lifetime and it made me be afraid to be seen. Okay, so I understand a lot of people are afraid to be seen because we fear of what people are going to say about us, what they're going to think about us, and it just keeps us in the box of just not wanting to show the world who we are. So what I did was I actually had to write down what my higher self looked like, what she looked like, what do she eat, how do she walk, how do she talk, is she confident. I literally wrote down 3 pages of who my higher self was and how she was in this current life. And so when I went back and I read it, I realized that there was nothing, literally nothing stopping me from becoming this woman. The only thing that I was allowing to stop me was my current reality, working a 12-hour night shift job, being overworked, underpaid. And I realized that I didn't know my worth. Okay, I know that I'm a hard worker. I know my work ethic. So why am I not taking the same energy that I put into this job for 4.5 years and even into other past jobs? Why am I not taking the same energy and pouring it into myself and building a legacy that is going to be for generations and generations for my family? Why am I not doing that? And a lot of that had to do with the programming. So this is why it is important to rewire your mindset. So after I wrote those 3 pages and read it, I realized that a lot of my thoughts were just illusion. They were just thoughts that were keeping me strained down, was keeping me shackled to my current reality. See, I felt like I could not be a billionaire and millionaire because I did not know what that looked like. And so I really had to rewire my mind with neuroplasticity. And please watch the past episode about it, okay? Because I get into detail about what that is. So, what it is when you create new neural pathways within your brain. See, a lot of times our brain likes familiar. We like to do the same thing every day. And what I was used to working for money because that is how I was programmed. I wasn't programmed to align with my purpose to attract the wealth and abundance that is mine. No, I was programmed to work hard for money. I was programmed to see that money was limited. There is only a limited amount of money to go around. I was programmed to work paycheck to pay bills, barely making enough money to survive. That's how I was programmed. And so I had to do things differently. I wanted to do things differently. I want my life to be different. And I knew that with my current mindset on how I was thinking, I could not take that with me with where I was going. So what I did was I started to journal my thoughts. I started to speak affirmation, speak life into myself, because a lot of times I was getting programmed with speaking scarcity into myself, telling myself, nah, you can't do it. Nah, what if they say this about me? What if they say that about me? What if this happened? All of this, what if, what if, what if? I'm creating scarcity illusions in my mind that was keeping me shackled to those scarcity reality. So that is where neuroplasticity kicked in. I had to continuously do the same thing over and over and over again because I had to get to the root of the problem. See, when you are becoming your higher self, you really have to reparent the unhealed child that went through trauma, that went through so much within his or her childhood. You have to become his or her parent and know that it is okay to get out of that survival mode. It is okay to not have any fear within your current reality. It is okay to be free and do the things that you really truly want to do. And so once I rewired my mindset, I then had to integrate. And how did I integrate? Is that I started to put myself in environments that were different. I started to try new things. I started saying, I cannot afford that. And started saying, how can I afford that? Why can't I not do that? I had to change the way that I walk, the way that I talk. I had to change. And a lot of that had to do with me changing my reticular activating system. You see, I noticed that I was only seeing scarcity. I was only seeing, let me give you an example. I was only seeing movies of people working hard for money, working hard to pay bills. Think about the Jeffersons. Think about Martin. You know, this man is working a job and then he finally aligned with who he was destined to be and became successful. I'm talking about the reality show. I'm not talking about his whole career. But what I'm saying is I've always watched movies and TV shows and, about struggling Black families, barely making it, and losing their jobs and still having to find a way to survive. See, I had to reprogram my mind and integrate new behaviors and new environments. So along with me reprogramming my reticular activating system, I had to go to new stores. I stopped going to low budget stores that had unhealthy food and I started to go to more organic, healthy stores. Because also I realized that what I was eating and the lifestyle that I was living, not working out, not taking care of myself, those are the things that I had to start integrating and systemizing. See, integrating and systemizing go hand in hand within the R.I.S.E method. Okay? Because not only am I reprogramming my reticular activating system and not only am I integrating neuroplasticity, I am also taking care of my health, taking care of my skin, watching what I eat. Because I realized that I was eating low vibrational food, sugars, cakes. And then I also realized that my nervous system was all jacked up. I mean, when I tell you that fear of being seen, like I would get triggered to post something and then I go back and delete it because I was afraid of what people would say and what they would think. Nah, I don't want to post that. Nah, what they gonna say about that? No. I had to stop doing it. And then I started to document my gym regimen, my workouts. I started to document that because that was going to cure my fear of being seen, recording myself and not caring about what anybody is saying or what they think about me pulling my camera out and recording myself working out. Me pulling my camera out in the store and recording myself because I felt like that this journey needed to be documented. I needed to document this transformation. Because not only am I pulling myself out of a scarcity reality, but I am aligning myself with my abundant reality and the woman who I am destined to become. Okay? So now I am starting to embody who she is every single day. You have to put rituals in place to keep you in line. See, a lot of us, we just wake up and go. We don't have no ritual. We don't have no system in place. Nothing is in place to keep us in alignment. And that is the problem. That is what I lacked. I lacked a system to keep me spiritually aligned, to keep me mentally aligned, to keep me physically aligned. See, when you just wake up and go, you don't have no system. You just going whatever your nervous system, whatever your day want to take you, your intuition want to take you, that's what you're doing. You're just going with the flow at that point. But I realized that that was the problem. I was allowing my nervous system to control my reality. If my nervous system got triggered and I didn't know how to regulate it, then I would stray away from doing that. Like, for example, I stopped listening to my body and started listening to my mind. Because once I got my mind under control and rewired, I realized that my body was my enemy. Because my body would not feel like doing something. My body would make me feel like, nah, I don't want to post anything today. My body would stop me from being consistent and stop me from being disciplined. My body don't have an opinion about how my day is going to go. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that I'm an energizer bunny and I'm just going to go, go, go. No, I'm saying when it's time to rest, you rest. You don't just work yourself to the bone. No, you listen to your body, but you understand what the triggers are for your body. See, I realized that my nervous system and my body was reacting to certain things. So I figured out the solution was just to regulate my nervous system. I stopped reacting and just responded. See, a lot of times we allow our nervous system and our body to take over and pull us away from what is aligned with us. See, a lot of us have the inspiration to do big things, big major things. But once we get triggered because we are not healed, our inner child is not healed, then we don't want to do it. So you got to realize that your mind can sometimes try to protect you from those triggers and tell you, no, we don't have to do it. No, we don't have to do that. But that's not the answer and that's not the way. So the whole point of me saying this is that the R.I.S.E method helped me transform into the person that I am today. It helped me see, not only when I wrote down those 3 pages of what my higher self looked like, breathe and feel like how she dressed, but I also wrote down that she does not work, that she gets paid to exist. So when I read that, and then I looked around at my current reality because I was at a job that was continuously triggering and triggering and triggering. And then I realized that I was so busy and consumed with work and so tired and exhausted from work that I had no time to heal myself. I had no time to get into an alignment with who I want to be. Because all of my time was going towards that job. Even though it was 12 hours, it was actually more than 12 hours. Because I was in a leadership role to where I had to prep before I actually stepped into the building. And even when I was outside of the building, they still had expectations on you have to get this, that done when you are off work. So now I'm working out the clock. So with me doing all of these things, I realized that a big portion of my time was going towards work. And so now it was time for me to take that same energy, that same drive that I had for that job, and put it into me and my reality and what I am building. So I hope this helps, because I created this method because of the things that I was battling and what I went through. And I had to take these steps to embody who I am destined to be. And so even today, I still keep myself in alignment. I still do things systematically to keep myself in alignment. I don't just wake up and go anymore. I wake up, I show my gratitude, I share my gratitude, I feel my gratitude, I speak affirmations into myself, I meditate, I visualize, and then I get my body ready. I'm going to go work out. And I'm documenting everything because, again, I refuse to have a fear of being unseen when it's meant for me to be seen. And I made this TikTok post saying that being shy, shying away. See, my fear of being seen was keeping me broke. My fear of being seen was keeping me from my wealth and abundance. And once I realized that it's time for a change. So if you are ready to transform your life, and I'm not saying that you're going to get microwave results. No, because your roots of scarcity runs deep. It took me months to get to this point. But I was like, I am not going to stop until the poison of scarcity that was programmed within me is gone. So if you are ready to transform, please download my ebook. And I do have hard copies coming on the way. And I'm also working on a master class. Okay? Because we got to get to the root and we got to pull it up, because it is time to take back our garden, which is our mind. Okay? And you are the gardener planting the seeds and taking care of that garden. But a lot of y'all have been neglecting your garden and allowing the old seeds from your childhood to grow roots and bushes and everything. So it's time to take care of yourself and transform from your scarcity reality to your abundant reality. And I am a walking vessel to show you that it is possible. You just got to let go of the one poison that everyone has, and that is fear. Okay, so I hope this resonates with you all. I hope you all enjoyed it. Feel free to follow all of my social medias that will be linked below. Like, share, comment, and thank you all for tuning in. Have an amazing day.